Alaska's future prosperity depends on our ability to improve the well-being of the next generation. How we invest our resources as a state greatly influences the success of Alaska's children. The state budget is a reflection of our priorities. The Alaska Children's Budget, a project of the Alaska Children's Trust, translates the state's budget from just numbers and mathematical formulas into a story about the role our level of investment plays in determining the success and/or failure of our children. This video series breaks down the children's budget into 5 core topics and summarizes the key points. The topic of this video is Alaska's capital budget. Alaska's budget consists of 2 primary components, the operating budget and the capital budget. To learn more about the components and the funding sources of the Alaska state budget, I encourage you to watch our Budget 101 video first. The operating budget is how Alaska invests in services delivered by people. The capital budget is how Alaska invests in services delivered by physical infrastructure. It's how Alaska builds schools, roads, bridges, playgrounds, walkways, bike paths, and other elements of our shared built physical environment that makes daily life better for all Alaskans. Alaska's capital budget is also used to make technology investments in schools, the university, and state communications. Looking back at the history of the capital budget, specifically utilizing a children and family lens, it is striking to see the difference from earlier in the decade and today. Between fiscal year 2011 and fiscal year 2014, Alaska invested an inflation-adjusted average of $183 million per year in children's budget items. During that time, the state was investing in deferred maintenance, building new schools, creating school technology upgrades, installing playgrounds, and investing in safe pedestrian corridors to schools. The state was also investing in non-state programs that serve children by helping those programs build or repair buildings, replace worn-out service vehicles, and expand their capacities to serve children and families. On average, during these years, there were 224 line items each year dedicated to investing in capital items that served children and families. Today, it is a very different story. In fiscal year 2020, Alaska invested just $8.4 million in children and families via the capital budget, a stunning 95% drop from the $183 million average from the 2011 to 2014 period. Nearly all of this money was dedicated to deferred maintenance in schools with little or no investment in resources to support health, family and community, or economic well-being outcomes. In comparison to the average of 224 line items dedicated to families and children between 2011 and 2014, fiscal year 2020 contained just 3 lines dedicated to children's budget items. Unlike the operating budget, where the budget or funds dedicated to children and families had fared better than other budget items, in the capital budget, investment in our children and families has actually fared markedly worse. This result may reflect the fact that federal matching dollars are not available for children's budget items like they are for traditional infrastructure projects such as roads, bridges, and airports. It is important to remember, although children represent 25% of Alaska's population, they represent 100% of our future. The Alaska Children's Trust hopes that the children's budget will encourage conversations at the intersection of how we're spending our resources to support children and child well-being as measured by data, such as Alaska's Kids Count. We hope that you will use the children's budget to encourage leaders to look beyond just the numbers and encourage them to reimagine Alaska and devote resources to ensuring our children are healthy, live in safe, stable, and nurturing communities, get a great education, and contribute to our collective success. Check out the other videos that provide details about the children's budget or download the children's budget itself at alaskachildrenstrust.org. Together, we can ensure our children, youth, and families thrive.